Hello and welcome to the SciFirst MovieTalk episode. So in this episode, I'll be discussing the 1987 comedy, The Secret of My Success, as directed by Herbert Ross and starring none other than Michael J. Fox as the movie's central character. So, this movie has been one of my kind of fair 80s go-tos for many years. It's not a great comedy when all's said and done, nor is it kind of one of the best 80s comedies out there. Nor, in fact, is it actually one of the best Michael J. Fox movies that's ever been. There are a lot better out there on all accounts. But for me, it is a film that I always used to kind of look forward to kind of sitting down and watching with my dad back in the day. And really, it's kind of sense of nostalgia for me. It's kind of carried through to this day. Fox plays Brantley Foster, a small town boy from Kansas, straight out of college, looking to make it big in the metropolitan jungle that is the Big Apple, New York. Full of big aspirations, dreams and a plucky attitude, Brantley finds that even with his college education, his grades kind of only get him so far. And I kind of say that from experience too. The job he had arranged falls through and Brantley finds himself jumping from interview to interview, but to no avail. So, down on his luck, but undeterred, he does try his luck with his uncle, somewhat removed, Howard Prescott, as played by Richard Jordan, who heads the Primrose Corporation. Sensing his spirit and his will to succeed, Howard actually puts Brantley to work in the company's mailroom and offers him some words of encouragement. "You're through the door, kid. What you do on this side of it is up to you." And words Brantley intends to take to heart, and indeed does so with some rather unexpected consequences and turn of events. Finding himself eager to learn the ins and outs of the company, Brantley takes a call meant for somebody else, a suit, if you will, one of the high-flying executives who had just been canned, and seizes the opportunity to prove himself, pretending to be somebody else, and forming an alter ego in the process, Carlton Whitfield. What transpires thereafter is a madcap business escapade as Brantley starts to moonlight as Whitfield, pushing all the right buttons and making waves within management, juggling lives between the two worlds of the post room and the boardroom to prove that he has what it takes to make it. So, yeah, I mean, for me, the film is very nostalgic on a very personal level. I always kind of wanted to live that dream, when I was younger. And the movie kind of really spoke to me in that respect. And indeed, it still does. Though the brightness kind of has dimmed, somewhat over the years. And indeed, my realisation, of course, that the film is a fantasy, But its heart is in the right place, at least. The thing is, and in the end, it's not really very noteworthy comedy at all when all's said and done. It's just a nice film, but never really kind of settles on its main theme to really connect with its audience. That if we had kind of more of a comedy about the situation Brantley sort of places himself in, and his alter ego Whitfield, that would have just been a whole heap better. But if it doesn't really know whether or not it wants to be a slapstick comedy, a romantic love story, a business parody, an 80s Brody comedy, or indeed even a power ballad, It does try to kind of be all things when there's really too many styles at play, if I'm kind of honest. But I do love it, despite all of that, as I think I warm to its overall premise rather than kind of any of the subtleties in its execution. And indeed, you can't help but like Fox in whatever he's in. And although this is not one of his most standout roles, he does give it a good shot and brings his kind of usual boyish charm into the mix. But really, the role could have been done by anybody, when all's said and done. He kind of doesn't bring anything kind of special that, let's say, for instance, somebody like Andrew McCarthy, let's say, couldn't have kind of done. Andrew McCarthy being the lead role out of the 1989 movie Weekend at Bernie's, if I'm right, and 1987's Mannequin. I can never say that word. But yeah, Mannequin. So, he kind of covered some very similar roles, in the same kind of time period. It wasn't a role that kind of speaks to Fox's talents, if you know what I mean. He just kind of makes it enjoyable to watch. The film does ooze 80s power, though, and in the time of like Wall Street, money talks, and all that kind of big business of hostile takeovers and the big job divide, laced with some simply stunning shots of New York skyscrapers, I might add, kind of showcasing its corporate and kind of urban jungle aesthetics. It has an awesome soundtrack as well. I do enjoy that, with a number of 80s hits, including Walking on Sunshine by none other than Katrina and the Waves, and Risking a Romance by Bananarama. And indeed, an original song by the same name as the movie, performed by Night Ranger, and co-written by David Foster, who also composed the musical score for the film, which that song was actually beaten to the Golden Globe Best Original Song in 1988 by the I've Had the Time of My Life, but that was in Dirty Dancing, of course. And admittedly, that one is obviously also simply fantastic. You know, it deserved that. But notably, the film also makes excellent use of the tune "Oh Yeah" by Yellow. Now, if you've ever heard this, it was actually previously featured in the 1986 movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off, to much acclaim, and it's used excellently in that movie as well. It's just kind of one of those types of songs that you kind of instantly recognise as kind of being set to some mischievous and kind of madcap scene. But saying that, ultimately, it does kind of follow that standard cookie-cut 80s formula, you know, including a number of obligatory 80s work montages. I think there's about 3 of them, just to kind of set that mood. It does start with kind of the promise of a corporate-style comedy, but then brings in a romance between Fox's character and a suit, as they are termed in the movie, one called Christy Wills, as played by Helen Slater. And along with kind of many of the film's other styles, this then kind of becomes central, sort of going in to reinforce Brantley's success. Had not only been successful in business, but also successful in love as well. I don't know. I don't really think that a romance on this level was kind of required, given the premise of the film. And indeed, it really does end up being central to it. But was this not about Brantley's being successful in business? It is charming enough, don't get me wrong. I think just misplaced. I kind of would have preferred more of a kind of a funny Wall Street, if you know what I mean. Something along that lines. But I do like its more realistic approach to the pangs of job hunting. At least it's got that going for it. Having the got there and been there t-shirt for all of that in that respect. And now actually being on the other side of the table, if so to speak, if you know what I mean. I do honestly share Brantley's frustrations, and I really do. Grades, experience, often it does definitely boil down to it's not what you know, but who you know. And this can be a very frustrating concept to kind of get your head around after spending so long at college and kind of fresh out with you full of big ideas, wanting to take every step on your own steam. It is, thinking back, a film that has kind of resonated with me throughout my career, if I'm honest. I know that it's kind of make-believe. I mean, in the real world, Brantley would have been done for fraud. And even if he got away with it, he would never have been able to find the financial backers given his deceit. But I do love the ballsy ending in that respect. It is out there. But, for me, as much as Howard is a slimeball, kind of wanting to succeed has kind of always been one of my mantras, and Harold's words have kind of stayed with me to this day. You're on the other side of the door, kid. What you do now is up to you. And do you know what? Regardless of whether or not, who said them, they are the truest words that of anybody starting a new job, Seize the opportunity, no matter what it is or how low you think your position is. Strive to be the best at whatever it is you do. If you want something, you have to take it, make it your own. Perhaps not, of course, to Brantley's extremes, but I also do agree with his mindset, Brantley's mindset, that is. Find out about everything that there is in that company that you work for. Interact with all those that you work with, regardless of their perceived level. Make contacts, make friends at all levels, and delve into the company with everything you've got. And, from that perspective, I've enjoyed and made the most of every day at work, and indeed life. So yeah, this film really did speak to me when I was younger. It left that lasting impression. And although I know it never really happens like that in the movies, you know, or in life like it does in the movies, the movie does make you believe in that dream, you know. And after watching, I really do feel like I can do anything, and often watch when I do need that little bit more motivation. So, overall, this one will always have a special place in my heart, regardless of the fact that as an 80s comedy, it's nothing really special. It has steered me in the right direction at work many times, and for that, and for all of the great memories watching this countless times with my dad, I will be forever thankful. It does take a while to kind of truly charm and get into the nitty-gritty of Fox's character, leading his double life, it is where the real comedy is. And it does have a number of kind of mixed styles. Like, it can't really make up its mind as to what it truly was wanting to be. But overall, it is simply a nice, easy watch. Not one of the best 80s comedies out there, and again, not one of Fox's best either. But harmless fun nonetheless, and with enough funny moments to at least garner a few chuckles along the way, you know? So, that brings me to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like. Please do hit that subscribe button for more movie reviews, trailer reactions, and other movie-related content. Absolutely loved having here at SciFirst Movie Talk, and we'd definitely love to have you back. But most of all, just thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.